All right, Manitoba, welcome back to another episode, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a wonderful day as always. Real fast, Manitoba, like, share, subscribe. That's Manitoba Freethinker Podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. MB Freethinker on TikTok and X. But as always, Manitoba, the big ask would be go to Rumble, share that link, share that one with your friends, watch it on Rumble. I am fighting the inevitable Facebook ban, so that would be the best way to help out. All right, folks, this is a live show Tuesday and Thursday, 7 o'clock. So, Manitoba, you get what you pay for, so just bear with me. But, Manitoba, like the title says, Budget 2024 is out. And one thing I think we can all agree on, Manitoba, is that we all lose. And it doesn't matter what political party we have in power, we never get what we pay for. Like, Manitoba, can you imagine if we had a detailed receipt for where our taxes went to and what they actually did with the money we gave them? Like, it would be clear that we never get what we pay for. And I try not to be too jaded, but I listen to our MLAs in the ledge, and Manitoba, they are clearly not working for us. They are just in it to one-up the other party. That's why they never answer any questions they're asked. They'll be asked one question, they'll answer a completely different question. They never say they made a mistake, and they will never, never, never say the other party did something good. Like, never. Manitoba, it's like the old saying goes, two wings of the same bird. In Canada, we have three main political parties, so it's literally like the three-headed monster. They all act like they have our best interests, but every time they are put in power, nothing gets done. But Manitoba, without taking a super deep dive into the budget, it sounds like a decent budget for, drumroll, the lower class, and that should be a shock to no one. It should shock no one that it's not going to be a friendly budget to the upper class or even the middle class. A lot of people are saying it's okay for the middle class, but we all know that's bullshit. But either way, here is Chris Stevens, who is a political science professor at the U of M. Take a look at what he has to say.
Budget really more designed for middle class and lower middle class or working people. If you're someone with $200,000 income or a very large house in Lindenwoods, it's not a great budget, but for most Manitobans, it's a very good budget. One thing that I was particularly interested in was how Wab Kinew would be addressing his promises that he made during the fall election, and very many of those promises are kept, or else he's on the way to addressing them. You know, for example, the emergency room of the Victoria Hospital, that's in the budget for getting underway, and he said during the press conference, shovels in the ground in about a year and a half. So there are a lot of things, and it was one of the most complex budgets I've seen in many years. But I would say for the NDP, it's a middle-class budget that delivers on a lot of promises. And I'm not partisan, but I think it's a pretty solid budget.
You mentioned right off the bat.
All right, so budget 2024, one future, one people, one Manitoba. I don't have faith, but anyways, I will read. So rebuilding healthcare, our government knows that you can't solve the problems in healthcare by simply spending more money. You also need a smarter approach. That is why Budget 2024 makes smart, targeted investments while increasing oversight of regional health authority and shared health spending. Right off the bat, Manitoba, I have my suspicions. Hiring 1,000 new healthcare workers, 100 doctors, 210 nurses, 90 paramedics, and 600 healthcare aides. Sounds good, obviously, but where are these? Like, are we just going to grow these doctors? Every single province is in a dire need for doctors, and Manitoba thinks that we are somehow going to recruit them. $309.5 million to recruit, retain, and train more healthcare workers, including $66.7 million to increase bed capacity and reduce ER wait times. $25.2 million to permanently increase critical care capacity, ICUs, and $47.28 million to connect more Manitobans with a family doctor. $17.6 million to open 2 new minor and illness clinics and to establish the first of 5 primary health care clinics. $6.9 million in operating for better cancer care, including access to cancer drugs, companion testing to better match cancer drugs with specific oncology patients, and $112,000 for pre-designed work for a new cancer care headquarters. $22.3 million to provide better care for seniors, including providing more direct hours for care for seniors in personal care homes, implementing the new Safe and Healthy at Home program to support aging in place, and funding for the Office of Legislative Independent Seniors Advocate. Okay. So Cam Blight, president of Association of Manitoba Municipalities, said he was happy to see such a strong focus on healthcare in the budget. Quote, restoring the rural doctor recruitment fund, investment in additional healthcare professionals, and reopening some of those closed emergency rooms. Every single Manitoban deserves good quality care close to home. We really need that. We really feel that the NDP government is going to be taking the necessary strides to try and fix that, Blight said, end quote. U of M professor Chris Adams, the guy who I played the video for, said it's encouraging to see the majority of promises that Canoe and the NDP made on the campaign trail are addressed in the budget, although it remains to be seen whether the government can follow through on what he called one of the most complex budgets he's seen in years. Quote, health every year is a big part of the budget pie, but there are a whole lot of commitments in this budget, like 1,000 healthcare workers, including 100 doctors, as promised by Wab Kinew in the budget. The question is, can he deliver on that? I doubt it. I have my doubts, Manitoba. The Manitoba Association of Healthcare Professionals, MAHCP, said the budget acknowledges the role allied health professionals such as paramedics play in the healthcare system, but wanted to see more short-term investment to help fill vacancies. Quote, where am I at? Manitoba is still burning out allied health professionals due to chronic understaffing and excessive workload and overtime. We are hopeful that the funding increases we heard about today can start to change that, President Jason Linklater said in a statement. He also said his organization wants to see targeted recruitment and retention incentives for specialized areas in high demand, such as paramedics and rural diagnostics. The Manitoba Nurses Union said it is encouraging to see the path that government is on, but added they want to see more effort to help retain nurses. Quote, there remains plenty of work to do. We know it will take time, but we also hear from our members that patience is wearing thin, said MNU President Darlene Jackson. Government employees need to be fixed on implementing approaches that will retain nurses in our system. Without this, inadequate staffing and burnout will continue to be a major issue. So Manitoba, I don't know. I mean, people have their doubts, obviously. But with that being said, Manitoba, let me just get to the top of the article. Shovels in the ground for Winnipeg ER within 2 years, Canoe promises, as Manitoba NDP delivers on first budget. We will see. I'll read on. Manitoba is facing a nearly $800 million deficit for the year ahead as its first budget under the NDP government promises incremental progress on a number of election commitments, along with new tax relief geared towards lower-income households. Shocker. The Manitoba government's 2024 budget released Tuesday pledged to double the province's spending on healthcare infrastructure, including beginning the process of building new emergency rooms at Winnipeg's Victoria Hospital. It also promises to extend the provincial gas tax holiday by another 3 months and introduces changes to the education property tax that will essentially eliminate the tax for some homeowners, but see the owners of high-valued homes pay more. Okay. A total of $635 million is budgeted for healthcare sector capital projects, including starting the process of opening a new Victoria ER, along with an emergency room in the Interlake community of Eriksdale and a new cancer care headquarters, all NDP election promises. However, the budget doesn't take offer of a timeline for those projects, though Premier Wab Kinew, speaking during an early afternoon briefing with reporters, said he expects, quote, shovels in the ground for Victoria ER within 2 years. That South Winnipeg Emergency Room was converted into an urgent care center in 2017 under the Progressive Conservative government called the most significant change in the healthcare system in a generation. Today's budget also promises $2.5 million in this fiscal year toward the planning supervised consumption site in Winnipeg's North Main area, and $500,000 for starting an inquiry into the construction of the Winnipeg Police Headquarters. But no start or completion date is provided for either. All right, so I'll go back to the budget. Lowering cost for families. Here, I'll make this bigger for you guys. A package of affordability measures to help lower costs for families who need help the most. Whoops, sorry. Extending the gas tax cut. New $1,500 homeowners affordability tax credit and an increased $575 renters tax credit and up to $328 for seniors top up. Doubling the maximum fertility treatment tax credit. This one I do not get, Manitoba. Free prescription birth control for all Manitobans. Why am I paying for other people to use birth control? It is not a human right, Manitoba. $10 a day childcare all year round. 5% lower auto insurance rates. $300 security system rebate for families and small businesses. Broad middle class tax cuts and bigger paychecks that increase the personal income tax bracket thresholds. Manitoba, keep in mind this is a PC implemented thing. NDPs love taking credit for the good things the PCs do. And here's another joke. $4,000 rebate for new electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids, and a $2,500 rebate for used EVs and used plug-in hybrids. So Manitoba, you want to get some savings? Wab Kinew's not going to fight for the carbon tax break. He wants you to spend $50,000 to $70,000 on a new EV. But don't worry, you'll get $4,000 back. Increased financial support for low-income renters. Increasing EI supports for low-income families. Increased financial aid for post-secondary students. All right. Oh, sorry about that. I almost lost my voice. But here are some groups around the province. Here's what they have to say about the budget. Let me just go. Canadian Taxpayer Federation. The Canadian Taxpayer Federation has also weighed in and praised the province for extending its fuel tax holiday for an additional 3 months. Quote, this gas tax cut extension means more savings for families when they need it most, said Gage Hubrick, CTF Prairie Director, in a statement. It's great to see the government listen to Manitoba taxpayers and help them by continuing to make life more affordable. Hubrick said he is concerned about the province's deficit, which will total $796 million this year. Despite taking a record amount, quote, despite taking in record amounts of money from Manitobans, the government is still failing to balance the budget, Hubrick said. The government is kicking the debt down the road and wasting close to $200 million per month on interest payments. Manitoba Federation of Labor has praised for the budget's focus on building up public service. Quote, the previous PC government left Manitoba's public service in dire straits, and we all know that repairing the damage from the PC years will take more than one budget. But this budget's investment towards hiring 1,000 new healthcare workers will make a real difference, said MFL President Kevin Rebeck in a statement. Rebeck said he wishes to see an additional focus on childcare spaces. While this budget does improve childcare affordability for working families who are lucky enough to have a spot, much more needs to be done to address our province's massive shortfall of childcare spaces, he said. The government needs to focus on training early childhood educators and paying them a fair wage to have any real hope of being able to open 20,000 additional childcare spaces promised under the federal agreement. And obviously, you're going to get high praise from the union sector. The Canadian Union of Public Employees is also praising the budget, calling it night and day from previous budgets under the Progressive Conservatives. Quote, the government is moving forward on important initiatives, including increased supports for disability services, a safe consumption site, and taking steps on MMIWG2S+, such as searching the Prairie Green landfill. Said Gina McKay. Additional support to help those who do not drive a vehicle in this budget, for example, said Molly McCracken, CCPA Manitoba Director. All right, so, I mean, obviously, you're never going to please everyone. But, so while, I mean, a lot of these people are praising it, there is, not everyone is actually on board with this, Manitoba. Take a look at some of these quotes. Could the NDP education tax overhaul end up exacerbating the housing crisis? Apartment building owners will not receive rebates, which could mean fewer new builds and higher rents. In short, what the Canoe government has planned for education taxes in 2025 may lead to some developments of multifamily housing to charge more for rent once their rental apartment buildings are completed. Some similar developers may scale back or abandon their projects that they're already contemplating. So Manitoba, like I said, not everyone is on board with this. But I will move on to the next section, which is healthier families and safer communities. That is... All right, Budget 2024 invests in children and new mothers, recreation and cultural programs, public safety measures, and supports for the most vulnerable Manitobans. $104.2 million in education funding to help every child reach their full potential, including $30 million for a universal school nutrition program. $160 million in capital investments for construction, expansion, and improvements in school properties, including 2 new schools in Winnipeg. $116 million in funding to build and maintain social and affordable housing, doubling the prenatal benefit to $162.82, making it the highest in Canada. Increasing of nearly $20 million for community living disability services, children disability services. $58.9 million increase to lift the freeze on municipalities, including an increase of $51.6 million to the operating grants, $7.3 million to capital grants. And Manitoba, here is the kicker. $3.9 million to establish a supervised consumption site, addiction treatment beds, and support harm reduction services. Like, what a perfect spot to end off there in the budget. Safe safe consumption sites. Why is the NDP so addicted to this? You know what I mean? Like, this will hopefully demonstrate that at the very least all Winnipeggers are going to lose in this announcement. They don't have money for all the schools, but they got money for a safe injection site. From CTV News. Let me just pull it up. Come on, Manitoba. Sorry, Manitoba, my computer's freezing up. I'm just gonna read it.
Hakuna Matata snacks. Did you?
Oh, this is insane. Well, Manitoba, I mean, this show wouldn't be complete unless I had some major technical issues. But if I can't... Oh, here we go. Supervised drug consumption site in Winnipeg announced in the budget. I just so disappointed that this is happening, but I will read from CTV News. Plans for a future supervised drug consumption site in Winnipeg are becoming clear following the release of the Manitoba budget. The NDP government has set aside $2.5 million for the site in the North Main Street area of Winnipeg. Quote, we have a very interesting proposal brought forward by an Indigenous-led consortium on a supervised consumption site, Premier Wab Kinew said, and we are looking at that. The site won't be operating until 2025, the Premier said, noting proper consultation with the community is required. Quote, how do you ensure the impacts on public safety and the immediate neighborhood are going to be addressed? These things take time, he said. Nicole Richard, a Winnipeg resident who knows the area well, said a lot of people in the North Main Street area are struggling with addiction. Quote, I think it would be 100% beneficial, she said, but not everyone is convinced a safe consumption site is the right decision. James Odie, a recovering addict and former drug dealer, believes the area will be a magnet for crime. Who would have thought? Quote, it's a place where a lot of drug dealers will go, a place where people will go to get hurt, a lot of their stuff stolen, he said. Harm reduction advocates have long been calling for a site and welcomed the announcement. It would reduce infection transmissions due to the sharing or the using of a tainted needle. It won't. I mean, Manitoba, we're going to spend millions on this, like $2.5 million, and we're going to see that people will not use this site. They're not going to want to go to this site and inject. I've been waiting for this change for a long time, so I am very pleased, said Arlene Last Kolb with Moms Stop the Harm. However, they said there wasn't enough in the budget to address the prevention of toxic drug deaths by providing a safe supply. You hear that, Manitoba? Give a little, they're going to take a mile. Well, here it is. At first, they're going to provide a place for you to do it. And then second step, Manitoba taxpayers like me and you are going to be paying for their addiction, paying for their supply of illicit drugs. The budget set aside money to cover new initiatives for drug testing in Winnipeg and northern Manitoba. The government will also be spending $1.5 million to expand treatment options and spending $500,000 for 24/7 sobering centers in Thompson and Brandon. Manitoba, this is so funny. They're spending $2.5 million on a safe consumption site and only $2 million on actually trying to help people get off drugs. $2.5 million spend $2.5 million helping people do drugs and only $2 million helping people get off drugs. I think the NDP's priorities may be a little backwards. You tell me, Manitoba, in the comment below what you guys think. Are you guys happy about this budget? Do you guys think you personally will benefit from this? Because, like I said, Manitoba, I have my doubts. Another sector that will definitely not benefit from this budget is infrastructure, which, according to the PCs, are seeing cuts, and that is mind-blowing, Manitoba. Sewage pipes are breaking, flowing raw sewage into the Red River. Gas lines are breaking. We have to truck in and train our fuel in. Like, not to mention the state of our roads. Like, that's a complete fucking joke. We run out of the snow budget after the first snowfall. How is the NDP justifying cuts to infrastructure? That is mind-blowing to me, Manitoba. And then, honestly, the last article I'm going to bring up, Manitoba, which the budget is failing, is Manitoba Kids. And I'm not talking about administrators or teachers or TAs, but actual students are being affected by this, because the NDP has no problem putting up money for crack houses and helping people stay on drugs, but they don't seem to have money to build schools. Let me pull it up, Manitoba. Manitoba NDP not committed to building schools promised by previous government. PC's pledged 9 schools through private partnership. NDP budget delivered Tuesday promises 2. The future of 9 schools promised by former PC Conservative government in Manitoba is uncertain. Oh, it's certain. It ain't happening. The Tories promised last year to build the schools by 2027 under a so-called P3, public-private partnership system in partnership with the private sector. The NDP government in the budget delivered on Tuesday had set aside money for 2 new K-8 schools. École Minot Pimatawasan School in Seven Oaks School Divisions in northwest Winnipeg and École Sage Creek Bonavista in Louis Riel School Division in southeast Winnipeg. Those schools will be built by the government alone. The government said those schools were planned earlier but were not part of the PC's public-private partnership plan. Finance Minister Adrian Salas said the P3 schools are not cancelled, but the province is not yet committed to them. So Manitoba, once again, I will say, why in the fuck are we committing to building safe consumption sites for $2.5 million, but we can't even build fucking schools in Manitoba when we all know that like classroom sizes are getting out of control? You know what, Manitoba, maybe this is actually a good thing, and this forces more parents to go either private schools or homeschooling. Because, this is a joke. We're literally focusing on helping adults. Keep that in mind, Manitoba. These are fucking adults that need help because their life is a fucking disaster and they want to continue to do drugs, but we can't even build a fucking school in Manitoba. I apologize for my language. He accuses the former Tory government of promising the schools without having the funding for them. He says the NDP government recognizes the need to build more schools, but will proceed responsibly. And a review of the public-private funding model that started last fall is ongoing. The Tory plan would have had the private contractor design, construct, and maintain the buildings. In exchange, the province would have signed a 30-year agreement, including payments for ongoing maintenance. The Tories said the plan would allow the schools to be built quickly and would save money. So either way, Manitoba, that I know I kind of, just so you guys do know also, I went over the brief budget, but they did release a pretty intense budget, as you could see. I'll pull it up full screen. So if you guys want to go through it, you can go through actually every investment that they made. Some good, some bad, but I just went over the brief ones. So, but either way, Manitoba, that is a brief look at the 2024 budget. I do not have any hopes for us, Manitoba. Let me know in the comments below, like I said, if this is going to actually benefit you. Because, if you're like, I guess low income, yeah, you'll find some benefit. But if you, I don't know, Manitoba, if you pay taxes, this I think is going to hurt. And a lot of renters don't want to admit it, but the people building your rental apartments or the landlords that own the houses that we live in, if their costs go up, Manitoba, it's going to be passed down to us. So this budget will help, like I said, the very low income. But even though a lot of people are praising it as it's going to help the middle class, I just don't think it will. But Manitoba, I am an idiot, so who knows? Thank you so much for tuning into another episode, Manitoba. I love you guys so much. Hold on a second. Having some problems. Oh, there it goes. Anyways, yeah, this is a live show Tuesday and Thursday, so you get what you pay for. All the hiccups and stuff and whatnot, bear with me. Thank you for tuning in, folks. So Tuesday and Thursday, 7 o'clock. I sometimes go live on Saturday, but click follow, and then you'll know. But either way, Manitoba, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. Love you guys.